There are many talks about feminism, and I think it's a good thing because we do need to talk about gender equality in this day and age. So, I think females should have more social power and more responsible positions, and that is fine. But I sometimes think that the feminist way of thinking should go deeper, much deeper than that. And I remember a time when I was attending the TED conference in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, and Elon Musk was giving a talk. I mean, actually, Elon Musk was not giving a talk. I think the TED organizers couldn't persuade Elon to prepare a standout talk, and so instead, the curator, wonderful curator, Chris Anderson, was interviewing Elon Musk, and Elon was saying all these things about how we should go to Mars and how it is a good contingency planning in case that the Earth's environment should go really bad and there could be a total nuclear war, thermonuclear war, or there could be asteroids bumping into the Earth, and in that case, we might see the end of the human civilization as we know it. So, Elon Musk basically said that it is a good idea to redistribute the human population beyond that of the Earth, and we should have some people on Mars, on many space stations, probably. And that way, we can make a hedge, and even if the Earth environment goes really bad, or even if there's going to be a thermonuclear war sometime, then we can probably make a really great contingency planning to avoid the extinction of the human race. That was the gist of it. I'm not reproducing the exact words, but that was the gist of what Mr. Elon Musk said at that meeting. And that has some point because the Fermi paradox, and this is a famous paradox put forward by Enrico Fermi, the famous Italian physicist, and he said that he wondered why there's no signs of extraterrestrial intelligence when presumably throughout the galaxies there would be tons of biological forms, and out of that, surely, from time to time, a highly developed civilization should develop. So why aren't they in contact with us? And that is the Fermi paradox. And one way to explain the Fermi paradox is that highly developed civilization like ours on this earth is very unstable because humans have developed these nuclear weapons, and at this very moment, thousands of nuclear missiles are, aimed at each other, right? The United States to Russia, Russia to United States, China to USS, US to China, and and so on and so on and so on. So this is a really unstable situation. The so-called mutually assured destruction strategy, with the acronym MAD, which I think is very apt, and this mutually assured destruction strategy. Some people have claimed that this has kept the world peace after the Second World War. But at the same time, it doesn't take a lot of intelligence to realize that this is a very unstable strategy. So you never know. One of these days, there might be an accidental nuclear war, and any nuclear war would lead to a total nuclear war, thermonuclear war, and then the human civilization, as we know it, would be extinguished. So, from that, so that's probably the reason why there are no apparent trace of extraterrestrial intelligence, because once civilization reaches some level of sophistication, they would quickly extinguish themselves, and that's why we don't see any extraterrestrial intelligence. So so Elon Musk's argument that we should redistribute the human population beyond that of the Earth makes sense in that aspect, and so. But what was interesting was that at the TED conference, a few talks later, there was a woman speaker, and she stood up to the stage, and she was talking about something else. She was not talking about Mars exploration or anything, but at the beginning of her talk, she referred to what Elon Musk said, and she said that there's no planet B, you know, uh, there's only the Earth. And before we talk about how to make contingency plans, in case we do something so stupid that the Earth becomes inhabitable, before we talk about that kind of plan B, well, indeed begin searching for a planet B, she said that we should take a really great care of the Earth, and that's our own priority. When she said that, there was a round of applause from the audience, and I was applauding too. And I thought that was a very symbolic contradiction between what you know the kind of thinking that Elon Musk might be capable of, and the feminist way of thinking. A man goes around and he, when something is destroyed, he can go to the next opportunity. That's a male way, traditionally. That's why males have been engaged in wars, battles, and all these competitions and contradictions and so on. This testosterone-driven behavior. But on the but females, on the other hand, they need to nurture children, and they need to bear children, and so in terms of embodiment, females tend to, for good reason and for wonderful reason, females tend to adhere to their own body, and that is fine because that is actually the basis of all biological forms. We need to adhere to our own body. So when we talk about, for example, about whole brain emulation or mind uploading, these theories, these models, tend to be put forward by male scientists rather than female scientists. That's how males tend to treat embodiment. I mean, males tend to think that bodies are dispensable, which are not actually, but they tend to think that that's the male vulnerability. So I think, of course, Mr. Elon Musk is an incredibly intelligent person. He's a genius, but at the same time, when he says that Mars exploration should be a means of making a contingency plan for the humanities on the Earth, I suspect that he's exhibiting a characteristic male vulnerability there. To think that bodies are dispensable, to think that Earth is dispensable, which is not, the Earth is not dispensable. If you listen to Greta Thunberg, what she says is brilliant. Greta should get the Nobel Peace Prize this year. And but of course, Greta's words can be understood by any rational person, but at the same time, the pathos, that ethos behind it, the passion behind it, the passion behind Greta's talking, probably comes from a feminine intuition, which is really great. I'm not saying that we should think in terms of male-female dichotomy. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that in ways we are not even aware of, this defined biological constraint for males and females might be affecting the way we talk, we think. And I suspect that it has affected a brilliant person like Elon Musk. When Elon Musk makes technological statements like our mission to Mars, and he may say that that is a great contingency planning for the human population. You may take it as a purely technological statement, but at the same time, you may think that there is this male-female difference, and that's a typically male way to approach things. And I think this is very important. This realization that male-female dichotomy might be actually affecting our way of thinking in an unconscious way. So take the mutually assured destruction strategy, for example, if you'd call that a strategy. Uh, you might say that that is actually a very male thing. I'm not saying that I'm not kind of oversimplifying things here. I'm just saying that these biological constraints, these embodiment differences, might be actually affecting our ways of thinking, but much deeper than that we are typically aware of, and we really need to start this kind of conversation now. That there are many things that you know science and technology have done to this earth and to ourselves, and we really need to think through whether there are any male or female biases behind. One fun example, I think, is that of Ada Lovelace. Ada Lovelace conceived of using the computer for, making music and making pictures, and I think that's a really wonderful example of a female way of thinking in the good sense, because, at the time, Charles Babbage and their male counterparts, they were thinking of using the differential engine for calculating the trajectory of cannons used to be used in warfares. And so there you are. I mean, that's a typical difference between male and female thinking, and I think we should be more aware of that. One last comment. When Theresa May, the British Prime Minister at the time, said that she was prepared to kill, was it hundreds of thousands of innocent men and women and children, if there's something that goes terribly wrong. That is a typical way to describe your position in the mutually assured destruction (MAD) strategy. Of course, you should say that, because otherwise there wouldn't be any mutually assured destruction. So that was Miss Theresa May following the basics of the strategical thinking. But I also suspect that maybe by doing so, Theresa May, who is a female, was kind of over adapting to the male way of thinking. You might think that this is an oversimplification, but I do think that there is some truth in it. So there you are. That's my musings for now.